Hey there, welcome to Laird Wellness Live.
Good evening.
It's Friday. It's the weekend.
You sound like Dan Bongino's guy.
Oh yeah, what's his name again? I don't know, Mike, something, I don't know. Anyhow, welcome to Friday. We decided to do this today because yesterday he had some other stuff going on, so could not do it. But we are here on Friday. We are going to lead up to Shabbat Night Live, which is at ShabbatNightLive.com. So after this, make sure you go and watch that. It is the final episode of Pirates and Heretics. Pirates and Heretics, all about
good.
how the Messianic folks were actually the pirates of the Caribbean.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. But anyway, they were responsible for that. Messianic folks were at the head of discovering bluegrass music. Not
Okay.
discovering, but developing bluegrass
Wow.
music. They were very instrumental in the Renaissance. So it's further proof of how the Torah observant Christian has never really gone anywhere. They didn't like disappear and reemerge. They've been all throughout history and in fact played very significant roles in history through all the significant events that we know in the history
Wow,
books.
that's
so
awesome.
except they're not in the history books. So Dr. Miles Jones is going to talk about that. And tonight we are going to talk about 5 ways to self-direct your health.
Right.
So self-directed health, what is that? Okay, so we run a program called Biologic Blueprint.
Yes.
And how come I had to pause on that? Anyway, so with the Biologic Blueprint, the whole idea of it, well, the main idea that a lot of people like is that you want to do blood testing, you want to find out where your health is, but you don't want to go to doctors. You don't like what you're seeing in hospitals over the last year and a half. You just want to stay away from all that. You just want to test it yourself and find out where you are.
Right.
And just share it with folks like us, and we can share what's really going on according to Dr. Lewis's blood test and all this. And that's how you can self-direct your care. So you get the test, you get the results, get someone trusted that you trust, to interpret the results, and then you decide what you want to do with it after that. You don't have somebody saying you have to get chemo right now. We're going to put you in next week or else you're going to die. None of that kind of
Or you
stuff.
have to go on a statin ASAP.
Right. Yeah. Or, I'm afraid you're going to be on diabetes meds for the rest of your life. No. Have all the options in front of you. If you want to do that stuff, fine, but have it in your control, not someone threatening you and legal action or whatever that you have to do what they say or some crazy thing.
Right.
So none of that. This is all kind of like it's self-directed wellness is what that is. But we're not talking about that specifically tonight. We are going to have some pieces of it that we're going to talk about that. But this is all about how to self-direct your health and your wellness, all of that kind of good stuff, on your own and with other people that you trust. And these are some of the things that we do, okay? This is sort of like a lot of people mentioned last week that they love the prepping stuff that we talked about. And so this is about how to prepare for the unexpected, who to have around you, that type of thing, what kind of things you may want to have in a closet just in case. And so that is what we are talking about tonight, is how to self-direct your health care, even if the brimstone hits the fan.
The brimstone.
As Michael Rood calls it, okay? So the first thing you want to be able to do is be healthy. And, we found that out during the pandemic, is that, if people were not healthy, something like this came along, an engineered virus that I think we all can accept that it was an engineered virus that is not going to do, what a normal virus would. And it might slam you down if you weren't really healthy. And so you really had to be healthy. You had to be on your toes. And I think that's going to be the norm from here on. Who knows what else is going to be thrown at us. So we have to be healthy all of the time. And a good way to do that without getting all kinds of health care and supplements and that kind of stuff is just to do this. Learn to read your food labels. It's that simple. So avoid things like hydrogenated oils. You've heard us talk about that before. Right. And if you missed that, what that is just artificial, like man-made oils. They take a polyunsaturated or monounsaturated oil, which means there are places in the molecular structure of that oil that have areas for hydrogen or oxygen to move in and make it make it oxidized.
Right.
But anyway, long story
Rancid?
short, rancid. Thank you. So this is an artificial oil that, hydrogen gas, that's why it's hydrogenated, is pumped into the oil to make it something a little better for the manufacturers to work with, but it doesn't work with the human body very well. Yeah, it may have better shelf life, but it doesn't do things for your arteries very well. So you want to avoid things like that. Other things you want to look for on the label are, for example, just really simple. When you're looking at the ingredients, the ingredient at the top is the most abundant.
Right.
In
And
that
not
food.
only that, don't just read the front of the package and when it says all natural and this is great and all that stuff, heart health. No.
Right.
You have to turn it around.
Exactly, because all natural, well, okay, uranium and plutonium and mercury are natural. They
Right.
come from nature, okay? We dig it up out of the ground and there it is. It's dangerous. So when it says all natural, that doesn't mean jack. It doesn't mean anything. So you got to at least get the labels that say USDA organic or vegan certified or something like that. So there's these certain logos that have companies behind them. Most famously, over the last few years, is the Non-GMO Project. This is the one you see. It's a little square, a little rectangle really, with a butterfly symbol. And it's a company that, because the government did not want to point out which foods had GMOs in them, this company did the opposite. They said, well, fine. If you're not going to point out which foods have GMOs, we're going to point out which foods don't have GMOs. And so they verify independently through a third party certain companies. Well, any company can do this. They can say, hey, I want you to certify us. So the Non-GMO Project will go there, find out where they farm the food, go and check everything out. And if there's no GMOs used and they can verify that, they get to have this symbol on their package.
Right.
And it's sort of like it's a renegade way of going about getting a USDA organic certification. Now, the foods aren't organic, but they don't include GMOs. So it's just a private company that decided to do something that the government wasn't willing to do on the other end of things. So anyway, so that is something to look for. So just learn to read your food labels. And in fact, this is the first video that we send to our folks who do our Biologic Blueprint program.
Right.
We have a whole half hour dedicated to what to look for, what to watch out for, things to read on the back of a food label. And so that is the first thing we get people to do when they start a program with us is when you go to the grocery store, don't just pick something up off the shelf anymore. Turn around everything.
And bottom line, if you can't read it or you can't pronounce it, put it back.
Yeah.
Let the ingredients speak for themselves and
Yep.
try to have as least ingredients as possible.
Yep. I had somebody
In
ask me.
fact, don't even buy anything packaged. Buy real food.
Yeah, really, right?
Real food.
Try like they always say, stay around the perimeter, the horseshoe of the grocery store, and don't go down the aisles. The aisles are where everything packages. Of course, we all have packaged stuff. We have lots of packaged stuff. In fact, when you're prepping and you're trying to save food for hard times, you have to have packaged food. So there is a reason for that. But I was going to say, one of our current clients texted me today and said, hey, can you look up this, or do you know what this ingredient is in this canned herring? He had canned herring fish. And I didn't know what it was. I said, man, I don't know what that is. I said, we're going to have to look it up together because I have no idea what that is. So we decided that after looking at it, that it was okay to have maybe once every couple of weeks. But avoid those
so
things as
what
much as
was it?
possible. It was, sodium hexametaphosphate. Sodium hexametaphosphate. And apparently it's something they use when they're packaging fish as an emulsifier and a tenderizer or something like this. But anyway, but apparently it's quite common in canned fish. So anyhow, learn to read food labels. That is one of the most important things. And as you learn to read food labels, you will automatically do step number 2. Educate yourself. You need to educate yourself. So whether that is watching, videos online, Dr. Eric Berg has a lot of great free videos about how to, what to recognize in foods, what to stay away from, why to stay away from it, how to lose weight, how to sleep if you're having trouble sleeping. Some very basic things. I mean, it's not like going through a 12-week program like we have, but at least it's somewhere to start. And he has some very wise, very simple things to follow.
Good.
So you need to educate yourself doing that. You can also educate yourself watching or going on certain websites. Like some of these websites aren't very popular with those on mainstream media. So you're looking at naturalnews.com. What else can you think of, Jody, that has some good
Are you talking about food?
food?
Or-
Yeah, food, all this kind of stuff. Educating yourself about how to be healthy. Like we said, how to self-direct your health in any manner. So there's, well, you know what?
Well, you know what? Healthrevivalpartners.com.
Oh, yes, of course. That's great. Dr.
And their,
Lewis.
And their YouTube page, brilliant webinars. Every Monday and Tuesday, we have webinars. And I'll tell you what, all you have to do is go to healthrevivalpartners.com and sign up for the blog, and you'll be invited to the webinars, which are brilliant every week.
So sign up for the blog or the newsletter? Is it the first
Sign
pop-up
up-
that comes
Yeah,
up?
the first pop-up is
Okay.
the blog, but that is your email to get sent the link for the
Okay, so
for
they
the
just put you on the
webinars.
email address,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
on the list. Okay, good, great. So, yeah, and those webinars are great. Oh my
Brilliant.
goodness, some of the people they get on there are just wow. You know,
Yeah.
they're trying to get some very famous doctors on there. I won't give it away, but on there very soon. So educate yourself, and even people like Rumble. Great website to go to. It's that YouTube alternative. We have a Laird Wellness channel on there, and there's all kinds of things on there from that are basically stifled in other avenues. So people like Zev Zelenko, Dr. Vladimir Zelenko is on there. Judy Mikovits is on there. All these doctors who know what they're talking. Peter McCullough. I'm thinking of Robert Malone. All these folks who know a lot of stuff that have been stifled in the last year and a half or so are on there. And you can listen to them and learn from them. And then a great thing to do is maybe go onto PubMed. PubMed is the place where all published studies end up. There's a copy on there. It's basically like a library put up by the government that all studies go into. And you can read anything on there. Any published study is on there. That's not suppressed. Everything that is published goes up there. And you can learn to read peer-reviewed studies on health. And I'll give you a little hint. So what you want to do is read, if you're not familiar with, like, sometimes there's a lot of technical jargon in these things. So what you want to do is read the abstract, which is basically the executive summary of a study. And then, so read the abstract and go all the way down to what they call the conclusion. Conclusion, or sometimes it's called
Summary.
discussion. Discussion, summary, conclusion at the bottom near there. And then between those two things, you can pretty much get the gist of what you're reading. And then go to the very end and see who sponsored the study, because they have to reveal that. So if it is something that it says sugar is great for you, we've discovered new things that sugar is great for you, and then you go to the bottom and see that the American Sugar Board has paid for this for the study, then you kind of know that, okay, take it with a little grain of salt, no pun intended. But you kind of have to take into account who's paying for the study, because of course the researchers are going to even just subconsciously lean toward who is funding them, who is granting them the money to do this
Or
stuff.
taint their numbers slightly. I mean, like you talk about all the time, you can taint your numbers or adjust them.
Yeah. So that's called relative benefit versus absolute benefit. So this is how this works. So let's say there's 100 people in a study, and 2 are expected to get cancer in this study. And it's a study for a cancer drug. Okay, so 100 people, 2 people expected to get cancer. By the end of the study, 1 person gets cancer. So if we look at the absolute benefit, we would say, well, there's 100 people, 1 person got cancer, 1 didn't. So, okay, so that cancer drug that they tried on everybody, it worked on 1 out of the people, so I guess that's 1 out of 100. So I guess it's 1% effective, because,
Right.
that's how it works. But they say, oh no, that's not how we're going to look at it. They look at those same numbers and they'll say, well, 2 people were expected to get cancer, let's remember. Only 1 said person got cancer. So 1 divided by 2 is 50%. Our drug is 50% effective. That's where these numbers come from. When you see these wonderful cancer drugs that, oh my gosh, it works on everybody. And then everybody tries it and they're like, my relative still died, even though they were on this drug. What happened? It's because the results are not exactly what you think they are. And that's called a relative benefit. So, got to be very wary of these things. So I hope that gives you some wisdom, and I hope I have educated you in just saying that. Okay, another thing is do your own testing. We have talked about this just in the last few minutes. So when you do your own testing, you are in control of the results. Doesn't go to anybody but you. Now, if we do some blood testing with you, for example, us and anybody else who does this kind of thing, where you can test on your own, if the lab, and it depends on which lab it is, but if the lab finds that there is a communicable disease there, like Lyme disease, for example, they have to report it. They have to report it to the health authorities in your area.
Right.
They're obligated to. So as far as that goes, yes, that is not 100% just private between you and the person who is doing the test and interpreting the test for you. But for the most part, unless they find something like that, it's all, your SED rate, your C-reactive protein, your insulin, your A1C, all that doesn't have to go to a doctor. It doesn't have to go to a hospital. You can do it yourself. Now, our Biologic Blueprint program is one way to do that.
Right.
You can do that. So we do a blood test, all kinds of great markers, and it goes through Dr. Lewis's patent. He's actually got a patent on this thing, a patented algorithm that takes all those results and spits them out and tells you your risk of diabetes, heart disease, cancer, brain risk, pain risk, blood problems risk, all kinds of things. And even he was doing COVID markers for a long time there.
Yep.
And it's not just for COVID markers, by the way. If you're having lingering symptoms, if you had COVID or had the shot or whatever, and you're just not feeling good yet, you can do a test with us to figure out what's going on and what to do about it. So that's through our Biologic Blueprint program. And by the way, we do offer a 30-minute consult just to see if it's right for you. Yeah. So, and you're literally talking to me. It's not with other people or anything. Like you're going to call me. I'm going to have a Zoom call with you just like this, and we'll determine if it's right for you. I'll ask you some questions about what you want to achieve in your health. You just want to lose weight. We have some people in the Biological Blueprint doing that. Are there some people that are trying to be as healthy as possible after a cancer diagnosis or a battle with cancer? We've had several people like that. We have people who are diagnosed with diabetes, or some people who just don't know what their health is because they never checked it out. And boy, are they glad they did, because their blood was a mess and we're able to do stuff with them. And put it this way, there's one guy I spoke with. He had a 5 out of 10. Now, this is how these little markers work. We give a real simple scale of 1 to 10 of your risk of certain things. So this one guy had he was a 5 out of 10 for cancer. So he was pretty serious. It was like, wow, what are we going to do? So we just gave him some simple things to do based on his blood test. It's customized to everybody. So we told him what to do according to his blood markers, what he should do. He did another test after 3 months, which is what we do. The 12-week program has a test on either end, and we do coaching in between, right? So we got his results, and I could hardly believe it. I had to look twice and make sure it was his blood test. So he did everything we told him to do, which is what you need to do, because you are 100% responsible for your own health. As Billy Weiss says, you are the CEO of your own wellness.
Right.
No one else is going to do it for you guys. I saw a bumper sticker on a guy's truck the other day. He was an Army vet, and it said, "No one is coming. You're on your own." No one is coming. You're on your own. And police departments are telling people that across the country now, that crime is happening so much they can't keep up with it. And if something happens at your house, you can call 911, but you may have to take care of the situation yourself before anybody gets there. They're literally telling people this.
Seriously?
I'm dead serious.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's other things to keep in mind. So regarding this, anyway, his blood marker, this guy, he went from 5 out of 10, did everything he was supposed to do, as you should. I mean, you're paying money to have people tell you what to do, right? So you might as well do it.
Right.
He did it, and his risk went from 5 out of 10 to 0.2 out of 10. In 3 months, he basically erased a potentially deadly cancer prognosis in the future by just doing what we told him to switch his life around. That's how fast the body reacts. Okay. So anyway, enough about that. That's why you need to educate yourself. And you can do that through a Biologic Blueprint program. There you go. LairdWellness.com/blueprint. Half an hour free consultation to see if it is right for you. Yes. All right. So this is, if you want to do that, by the way, if you want to just go ahead with a test too. Some people say, well, I'm not sure I would even need coaching like you guys do for 12 weeks. Okay, well, we also have a 6-week program. We have somebody doing that.
And if you're the type of person who is like me, who does get, say, a blood test done, I do it every 6 months regardless, and then I tweak my lifestyle.
Yeah.
But nobody has to tell me what to do.
Right.
I'm very diligent in doing what I need to do for
Yep.
those 6 months to make it better. And if that's you, this is very good for
Like
you.
like a young lady I spoke with recently. She tests herself. She doesn't do any coaching with us, but she gets a blood test. So just like Jody, she gets her blood tested. I think she's about like 35, something like that. So she gets her blood test. She's one of these people that wears a continuous glucose monitor
Nice.
because she wants to know what's going on all the time. And even apart from doing blood testing with us, she'll do her own vitamin D test like every month.
Wow.
So she's like, she wants to be on it all the time. She's one of these people that wants to like just live as healthy as possible forever. And she's like 35 and she looks like 20. So obviously this is why she knows what she's doing. And she's one of these people who has educated herself.
Right.
She knows what she's talking about. And so you can do it too. So anyway, so yeah, you can do the testing just on your own. And if you go on our website, you can actually order this without talking to us about our program. You can just do the blood test. Here it is. It's the Discovery Panel. I think it's the first item on our store. And you can see it there. There are two options. You can do the 55 biomarkers, which are, now both of these biomarkers basically are Dr. Lewis's algorithm. It's that patented algorithm for your blood testing. So there's 55 biomarkers, many of which regular doctors will not test. Okay, so you're going to get something special there in the first place. Or you can do the 55 biomarkers plus a spike protein risk. Like I said, a lot of people are having long haul COVID symptoms. You can find out if that's you, or you can find out why you're tired all the time. Maybe there's some spike proteins floating around. It's very easy to tell if that is your case, and some simple things to do if that is indeed what's happening to you. So you can do that at lairdwellness.com and look for the Biologic Blueprint or the Discovery Panel rather. All right. So the fourth thing you can do to self-direct your healthcare is to grow your own food. Okay, so we have a garden out back. On Sunday, we live in North Carolina, so the garden's ready to go pretty much. It's nice outside. It's like 70 degrees today. It's going to be the same tomorrow. So what we were going to do is we're going to start our garden outside. And we're going to dig out all the weeds and everything. We had one hoop garden over the winter, kind of an experiment that failed. I made it a little incorrectly, and it snowed, and it basically collapsed it and wrecked the kale that was growing in there. So, but we figured out how to do it. And we know how to do it better next time.
Right.
So we have 4 such gardens. They're all raised bed gardens. We made them ourselves, and we made them 3 feet wide by 16 feet long. They're pretty long suckers. So we can plant a lot of stuff. And so that's what we're going to do during the growing season. Now, of course, you can go online on YouTube. There's all kinds of ways to grow, and all kinds of people that are smarter than us about how to grow your own food.
Right.
And in fact, there's a website called icangrowfood.com. And this is a lady who's just puts it out there in layman's terms. Mike Adams talks about her, the health ranger. Mike Adams talks about her. So I remember her name, but her website is icangrowfood.com. So there you go. You can go there. Also, if you want to grow food in the winter, which is what we're thinking about, so we're thinking, okay, you know us, we're preppers, right? So worst case scenario, we're thinking, okay, it's winter, the lights go out, we have no power, but we can't grow food, can't go to the grocery store. What are we going to do? So our thing is, what if we got a solar power generator? We could do that. And then what if we plugged into the solar power generator this handy dandy little thing? This is called the Farm Stand by letusgrow.com, as in let us grow, but it's lettuce grow. Lettuce, as in the food. Letusgrow.com. This is called the Farm Stand. You can buy it in sections. You can see that it's kind of an expandable thing. So you can make it as high as 6 feet high, which is what the thing is on the left there. And there are little growing pods inside. So what you do is you fill the bottom with water, and then there's a water pump that takes the water and puts it up a pipe to the top, and then it basically spills over on the sides inside. And then basically on the inside, it rains on the little dirt pods that you have stuck into the side there in those holes. And it's basically it's a self-watering hydroponic system.
Very cool.
And these little rings around the outside that look like make it look like a spaceship, those are grow lights. And you can see on the right-hand side how that works. And basically, they give you starter packs of seedlings that are 3 weeks old, but you can do it yourself. That's what we're doing inside right now. Jody has a whole bunch of seedlings sitting by the window. So you could do those by yourself and then put them into this thing, put in water, plug it into your solar power generator that I want to get. I mean, those are kind of pricey, but I think that would be a great solution. And then you can grow food indoors all winter long, even if you don't have power. I mean, what you'd have to do with the heat, I don't know. You'd have to figure that part out. But anyway, so this is a way to grow food even in the winter if things get kind of crazy. And by the looks of things that we're seeing on the alternative news sites, things are getting crazy. Okay, there was a fertilizer shortage already because of what's happening overseas. And then there's this, whether it's rumor or true, I don't know, some barge that had all kinds of fertilizer on it was sunk in the ocean.
So no fertilizer, no corn.
No corn. And if there's no corn,
corn is not a bad thing, but
there's a lot of corn and a lot of stuff
there
on the shelf, because that's why you see high fructose corn syrup, and there's corn this and corn that, because American companies are trying to support American corn growers, because corn grows very readily here. Unfortunately, first of all, corn is GMO ridden. It's almost as bad as soybeans. So soybeans and corn are both going to be in trouble. And if they're in trouble, there's a lot of industries in trouble. Wheat is already going through the roof. By the way, if you want to, I don't know, supplement your portfolio online, there is something that I just bought into on my little Robinhood account this week. It's corn, CORN. It's corn futures. Those are expected to skyrocket. They're not skyrocketing just yet, but
this is not insider trading, but something like 15 times.
we don't have access to such people, but there's some folks saying, hey, think about this, the domino effect that's going to happen, and it starts with corn. You may want to buy some corn futures. I just put like a couple of $100 into it. We didn't sink a fortune into it.
It's not necessarily going to be bad if we don't have corn, because we'll probably be healthier.
Right.
However, there's going to be millions and millions of people who don't know what to eat if they don't eat corn.
Exactly.
And I don't mean corn on the cob. I mean every single packaged food in the store is got corn in it.
And I am not a financial advisor, but this is just something I did. And I'm sharing it with you because someone shared it with me online. I went, that kind of sounds like a logical idea, and I want to share it with you. So that's why I'm telling you. All right, fifth thing to do, get into community. Okay, listen, when we're talking about bugging out and all this kind of stuff, and it's the same thing with orchestrating your own healthcare. You can't do it on your own. You need people in community, okay?
Like-minded.
So it's like-minded folks. You're going to think you're going to grab a backpack and go into the woods by yourself. Good luck. You're going to survive 3 days, and then people are going to hunt you down for your food because you're by yourself and they're not by themselves, okay? So that's a worst-case scenario, of course. But to self-direct your healthcare, we'll just tell you about our Sabbath group. So in our Sabbath group, there's us, okay? So we know how to read. We know how to read blood tests, and we know how to turn people's health around. We know what to look for. Okay, that's our skill. We have a chiropractor. That's not our skill. We need him. He needs us. We need him. There's someone in our group who is an herbalist, a master herbalist. Wow, that's great. So she can forage for food. And then people who are unhealthy, we can help them. If they throw out their back picking out the herbs, our chiropractor friend can help them with that. We have communications experts in our group. We have people who are self-defense experts in our group. We have people who are prayer warriors. Okay, we have this whole group of people
who know how to take care of animals.
Right.
Chicken.
Animal husbandry experts.
Yeah, husbandry. That was what I was looking for.
People who know how to slaughter the animals, how to do it safely so nobody gets sick. Right. All this stuff. Yeah. You need people like this in your community, and it all boils down to health, because we need to be healthy into the future here, even if things get really bad. You need to have people around you. Okay, that's just number one.
Live local. And Jaron Jackson, if you look him up, he is fantastic online. Jaron Jackson. He's putting out a field guide this week to live local.
Okay.
A field guide. I don't know if
it costs... local field guide.
Yeah, I don't know if it costs anything, but if it does, I'm sure it's nominal.
And he's JaronJackson.com, right?
JaronJackson.com, JARRIN. Live local.
Live local. Okay, great. Okay, well, we're going to cut it off here. Thank you for watching. Let us know in the chat, please, if you enjoy having this on Friday nights. Some people didn't want to do this because it was already Shabbat in their area. The sun has set. And so that's why we switched it to Thursday. We kind of had a funny week, so we did it Friday. But anyway, let us know what day of the week you'd like us to do this and what time works for you, okay? And now we'd like you to go over to ShabbatNightLive.com. Shabbat Shalom.
Take care.